Okay, today I'm going to cover the very first paragraph after the 50 principles of miracles found at the beginning of chapter 1. So the very first section is called Revelation, Time, and Miracles. As I go over these sections, I will not be giving all the numbers that people are usually giving for Course in Miracles, paragraph, section, sentence, so on and so forth, because I actually have an old copy of A Course in Miracles that doesn't have all that. It doesn't have all the numbers and everything, and I actually prefer it. Especially now that I'm older. See, there's no numbers or anything, and the print is a bit bigger, so it's easier for me to read. So I really like this. Plus, I've had this for so many years. You see how it's falling apart? And even here on this page, there's a little bit of doodle from my son, my now 18-year-old son, who at the time he was 1, found my book by my bedside, grabbed my highlighter, and started doodling on my Course in Miracles. So even though this book is an illusion, I do have an emotional attachment to it. I've been studying it for decades. And so I apologize for not referring to all the numbers that people are normally referring to reference certain parts of the course. I will be doing it a bit differently. So I'm covering the very first section in chapter 1 after the 50 principles, called Revelation, Time, and Miracles. Okay. So there is an enormous amount of information packed into this first section. I almost was like, oh gosh, do I need to cover one paragraph at a time? But no, I'm going to do the whole section because, they're formed into sections like this for a reason. They are dealing with similar concepts, each section. So I will go into talking about this very first one. So it starts off telling us that revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear, that it reflects the original form of communication between God and his creations, involving the extremely personal sense of creation sometimes sought in physical relationships. Physical closeness cannot achieve this. Miracles, however, are genuinely interpersonal and result in true closeness to others. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole section. I'm just going to point out certain parts that are important for us to understand what is being taught here and discussed here. So basically, this first paragraph is really trying to show us the difference between revelation and miracles, because they are actually different. Revelation is the experience of God, the love of God, a direct communion with God, a direct relationship, a direct feeling of the totality of the oneness that you are with God, with zero doubt, zero fear, nothing like that, okay? That's revelation, pure connection with God. That's why it says that involving an extremely personal sense, this is revelation, of creation sometimes sought in physical relationships. Now it's telling us we can't find it there. We're not going to find revelation in physical relationships. But you know that feeling, right? When you're super attracted to someone and you have all these loving feelings towards them and you just really, really, really want to mix your energy with them, and it gives you this feeling of elation and just all these blissful, wonderful feelings. That's why, people have been writing love songs and writing poems about love and professing love, for millennia, since the beginning of so-called time, is because we're always chasing this feeling that we have with God. We're always chasing this memory of this love fulfillment that we have with God. So we chase it in these physical relationships, but we never find it there because it's only found within God. Okay. So it's not saying not to have physical relationships or not to enjoy the love that we can sometimes experience within the illusory world through those physical relationships. It's not saying that. It's just saying that that feeling that we're all looking for, that we sometimes, as it says here, sought in physical relationships, that feeling that we're looking for is coming from communion with God, which is revelation. But then it's talking about miracles, how they're different. It says miracles, however, are genuinely interpersonal and result in true closeness to others. Miracles unite you directly with your brother, and then neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. Okay, so anything that emanates from consciousness doesn't really exist. Anything that's coming from our consciousness is a form of an illusion, because consciousness indicates separateness, okay? You have to be conscious of something, so there has to be an other to be conscious of. That's duality. That's an illusion. That's not real. So that's what is being taught to us here. So a miracle is when we temporarily forget the illusion, where we think we're separate from another person. So miracles is what we can experience with other people, beings, situations, anything we see within the illusory world. A miracle is when we look upon those things with our eyes and we don't see the ego sight. We don't see the 3D world. We don't see what appears to be there as something that's separate from us. We see only the truth, which is that we are all one with any other being out there, with any other life form out there. We are all one. So that is the miracle, is looking with our spiritual sight, looking with our spiritual eyes, and seeing everyone and everything out there as spirit, just like us, being one with us, that we are the same. So that knowingness, that looking at someone and being able to experience the miracle and knowing that you're the same as them and that we are all one and we are all love and we are all one with God, when we have that experience, it is not coming from our consciousness. It's coming from our unconscious knowingness within inside of us that we are one with God and one with all of our brothers. Again, as a side note, don't let all of the male pronouns, father, brother, all that stuff, don't let it throw you off. This book is teaching us the truth, which is love and spirit, but it has to do it through the eyes of the ego, because that's who we think we are. So it has to explain things to us from that perspective. So it's going to use the kinds of patriarchal pronouns that we have used in our world for a long time. So it's just reflecting our own language back to us so that we can start to open up our eyes from our ego standpoint. All right. So don't let all that patriarchal male pronoun stuff throw you off. Okay, so that's why it's not coming from consciousness, because consciousness believes in separation. Consciousness equals duality. That's why miracles are not coming from consciousness. It says that consciousness is the state that induces action, though it does not inspire it, okay? So in consciousness, we think that there's duality, we think there's separateness, and that's why it inspires action. Because we always think we have to get somewhere, we have to do something. We feel lost without knowing that we're home with God. So we're constantly trying to do things, okay? So that's why consciousness is, my hair is flying everywhere because of the fan. It's very hot. Consciousness is the state that induces action, though it does not inspire it. So the reason that consciousness does not inspire action, even though it induces action, is because inspire means to be in spirit. It means spirit is moving you. That's where the word inspire means. It means in spirit. So when we're in our conscious mind, the ego mind, the mind of duality and separation, we are not being inspired. Okay? We're being inspired when we are in alignment with spirit. So that's what it means when it says consciousness is the state that induces action, okay? Because we think we need to do things when we're in our consciousness, in our ego state, in our illusory state. We think we need to do things. Though it does not inspire it, because inspiration comes from spirit, not consciousness. It says you are free to believe what you choose, meaning you can choose ego or you can choose the truth, Holy Spirit. You can choose one or the other. You have free will. You get to choose. And it says, and what you do attests to what you believe. So whichever teacher you choose, whether it be the teacher of the ego or the teacher of spirit, you are going to see reflected back to you that choice. You are going to feel the experience of that choice, whether you chose ego or Holy Spirit. And I don't want you to think of that as a punishment. It's not a punishment. It's a barometer. It's a tool. So every time we feel bad, we know, ooh, I chose the wrong teacher. I can choose again. Now that I've realized that I feel bad, and I feel bad because I'm making the illusion real, I'm making the separation real, I'm making my conscious thoughts real, and I'm going to choose again. I'm going to choose spirit. I'm going to choose truth. I'm going to choose the miracle. And when we do that, all of a sudden we feel better. We feel at peace. So those feelings that we have, those emotions, whether we're feeling happy, sad, good, bad, afraid, or in love, always is the tool to help us understand which teacher we're choosing in that moment, what we're choosing to believe. And this course is teaching us how to be conscious of that, how to start to recognize that we are choosing, and that because we are in control of our choices, we can choose again. All right, so it says revelation is intensely personal and cannot be meaningfully translated. Okay, so when you're in revelation with God, it is this experience, and it's going to talk about it later in this section. This experience of awe. Okay, when we're in revelation with God, it's basically another way of saying making love with God. Okay, but it's all energetic. That's why it said towards the beginning of the section, this feeling that you have when you're in revelation with God is something that within the illusory world we will chase or try to seek through physical connections with others, because it is this feeling of ecstasy, this just a type of pleasure and of love and of fulfillment. Just this unconscious, unconditional, fully encompassing love. And that is something that when we're lost in ego, we're trying to seek out in the illusory world. And then when we think we found it, we get on a high, right? Like falling in love, you get on this high, but then it doesn't take very long before all the ego stuff starts to enter in. And you're like, oh, this person wasn't as perfect as I thought they were. And then all the problems arise, and then we start projecting. And, these are all the ego games. This is what we do to chip away at anything that we're trying to replace with God. And it's all being done unconsciously, and it's all being done as a tool to continuously show us the choice that we're making, that we are doing this to ourselves, these choices that we're making, what we choose to focus on. So it says that's why any attempt to describe it in words is impossible. Revelation induces only experience. Okay, so it's just this beautiful experience, revelation, of just having this oneness with God. People can experience that while they're meditating, or you can experience that at any point in life. And meditation isn't only what we think of as sitting and closing your eyes and, releasing your thoughts and things like that. It's not only that. It's any way that we are in alignment with spirit, that we are in alignment with our true self that's inside of us. So it could be taking a walk, it could be surfing, it could be making art, it could be anything. So when we're in alignment with spirit, we're going to feel that feeling, and we can take it so far when we start to trust and release our fears to really have that feeling of revelation where we're fully encompassed by the love of God. It is truly an experience of awe. Okay, so that's revelation. Now it's going to talk about miracles. They're different. Revelation is only for your direct relationship with God's source creation. That's what revelation is. It's just between you and your creator. That's it. That's why it's so beautiful. And that's why it's a state of awe. Just even talking about it now is bringing tears to my eyes, because it is a beautiful, beautiful experience that's not describable by words, like it just said. Okay, let's talk about miracles. Miracles, on the other hand, it says, induces action. Why? Because miracles are needed within the illusory 3D world. The illusory 3D world is where we feel that like we need to take actions. It says they are more useful now because of their interpersonal nature. In this phase of learning, working miracles is important because freedom from fear cannot be thrust upon you. Okay, so miracles, okay, as we're out in the world doing our thing, acting like we're really a person and we're really interacting with people and really doing things, as we're doing that, we sense, we forget, we get caught up in our ego beliefs, and we think that there's things out there that can hurt us and attack us, or that are mean to us, or looking to, take away from us, or any kind of fear or attack, okay? We're believing that when we're caught in the 3D illusory world. So a miracle is what we need to do when we're caught in that. A miracle is when we look at something, someone, situation, whatever it is, and we say, oh, wait, I'm not feeling good about this. I'm feeling really upset about this. That's my tool. That's my barometer that tells me that I'm lost in false ego thought. Okay, let me rethink this. And that's where the miracle comes in. And you think about that person, that situation, that group of people, whatever it is that's upsetting you. You think about it, you imagine it in your mind, and you say, I forgive us both or all, depending who all is involved, for what we've never really done. Okay, so right away, that's recognizing, oh wait, none of this ever happened. None of this is real. And then I say, this is my process. This is what I do. This is just an example. I forgive us both, or I forgive us all for what we've never really done. There is only innocence, right? Because that's all we all are, is innocent. We're just the innocent child of God. That's it. There is nothing else happening here. All this stuff that we think is happening in our illusory 3D world is not happening. So in that moment, you remember the truth. None of these people are here. We are all innocent. We are all one. We are all God. We are all still in heaven, having revelation with God. We are all still doing this right now. We just forgot. So the miracle is when we see with our spiritual eyes and our spiritual sight others to understand that they are just pure love, God source creation, just like we are. That's all we all are. So in that moment that you're able to see that and understand that's the miracle. That's the miracle. And that's why we need miracles to help us with our brothers, as they always call it in the Course. It just means everyone else. Doesn't even have to be people. Doesn't even have to be humans. It could be animals. It can be plants. It can be extraterrestrials. It can be anything in the multiverse that appears to be alive. We use the miracle to heal, basically. What else is it saying here? So then it goes back to talking about revelation. That's a miracle. Revelation, back to our individual relationship with God source creation, is literally unspeakable because it is an experience of unspeakable love. Okay. All right, so then the next paragraph is going to talk about awe. And it's going to say how, or it does say, how awe should be reserved only for revelation, your direct experience with God's source creation. Because even though we are the same as God and we are one with God, God is still our creator. God is still something that is, for lack of a better term, this isn't the right term, but within our 3D illusory ego world, this is the right term. God is above us in a sense, okay? Because God is our creator. So it is reasonable for us to have awe when we are in communion with God, all right? But it's going to tell us that awe is not appropriate when practicing miracles with our brothers. That, or even with Jesus, we do not want to be in awe of Jesus. This is what he's telling us here. He's saying, I'm your brother. I'm the same as you. And do not be in awe of me. And do not be in awe of other brothers, okay? Much like our 3D illusory society tries to have us do. They want us, our 3D society, which was created with the projection of our one mind, our ego mind, created this illusory world where we're constantly worshiping other people, whether they be government leaders, celebrities, whoever. Someone, who's prettier than us or thinner than us or whatever. All this ridiculous stuff within our illusory world that we've decided that others are better than us and that we look up to them. That's just a silly little ego explanation of it. But basically, Jesus is telling us never be in awe of Jesus, never be in awe of any of our brothers. But the miracle is knowing that we're all the same, knowing that we're all one. We're all on the same level. And this is what he wants us to understand about him as well. It says, you are a perfect creation and should experience awe only in the presence of the creator of perfection. The miracle is therefore a sign of love among equals. You see, revelation is for God, your creator, and miracles are for everyone who is equal with you, which is everyone and everything except God's source creation. It says equals should not be in awe of one another because awe implies inequality. Okay, that's the key word, inequality. So we do not want to be in awe of anything except our creator. That's it. Everything else, there is inequality. There's only one of us, one mind. We are all the same, and we are all loved by God equally. It is therefore an inappropriate reaction to me, meaning Jesus. He's saying, don't be in awe of me. Don't worship me. It says an elder brother is entitled to respect for his greater experience and obedience for his greater wisdom. He's also entitled to love because he is a brother and to devotion if he is devoted. It is only my devotion that entitles me to yours. Okay, so what he means by that, what Jesus is saying with that, is that his devotion to the Creator is what earns him our devotion to him, okay? He's saying it's only my devotion, meaning his devotion to God, that entitles me to yours, us devoting ourselves to his message and his teachings. There is nothing about me that you cannot attain, says Jesus, because we are the same as him. We are the same. I have nothing that does not come from God. The difference between us now is that I have nothing else, meaning he learned in his lifetime and continues to do so now that he no longer has a body, to only know God and to know himself as God and to know that love and to know the pure non-dualism of love, of the truth. So he's saying that he sees nothing else but that. That's how he became Jesus. That's how he became the teacher that we know and that we listen to. Now, I want you to remember, there's only one of us. So this Jesus guy that we keep talking about, he's just a projection of our one mind. We wanted to remember who we really are. So we created within the many fractals that appear to be out there in the multiverse of all the different people and things, that there are that appear to be alive. Oh my God, I totally just lost my train of thought. What was I saying? So he's saying there's no difference between us. I was telling you that we are Jesus. We just projected that fractal called Jesus out of our mind to teach the other parts of us. Okay, there's only one of us. That's what I'm trying to say. No man cometh unto the Father, but by me it does not mean that I am in any way separate or different from you except in time, and time does not really exist. Okay, so once again, he's telling us, I'm not separate from you. I'm the same as you. I am you. We are the same. And then he's here to, teach us that. And he's saying that there's no way I'm separate or different from you except in time, and time doesn't really exist. Okay, so we know that, right? Time doesn't exist. There is no such thing as time. So when we created Jesus I keep saying created, really it's made. I should be using the word made, because anything that we do within the 3D illusory world is not creation. It's making. We are making something. Creation comes from God's source creation. So I'm sorry that I do often forget that and say created, but none of us are perfect. in the 3D illusory world, but we are perfect in the truth of who and what we really are. Okay, so yeah, time doesn't exist. It's not real. What else is important here? I mean, it's all very important, but this video would take forever if I went through the whole thing. So he's saying, Jesus is saying, I bridge the distance as an elder brother to you on the one hand and as a son of God on the other. My devotion to my brothers has placed me in charge of the sonship, which I render complete because I share it. Okay, so basically what he goes on to explain here is that he's the middleman between us and God. Now, in our 3D illusory world, we look at it like this, like a hierarchy. The truth is, it's like this. It's horizontal. And he's talking about this in this section, this horizontal versus vertical. So he's saying that he is a go-between. That if he wasn't there as the go-between, that us and our beliefs of who we are as egos is so far away from the truth of who we really are with our creator, with God, that we wouldn't be able to get there. So he's the middleman in between. So we can get to him, we can understand this teaching, and then once we get to this level, then we have the information we need to get all the way up to God. That's basically what he's explaining is the structure of this teaching. Okay. Revelations are indirectly inspired by me because I am close to the Holy Spirit. Oh, that's everything I just described. That's what he's talking about there. We're talking about the miracle again, that it minimizes the need for time, how it collapses time, okay? Because there is no such thing as time. Time only exists within the illusion. Within the illusion, we think we need to do things. We think we need to prove things. We think we need to, learn things over and over again. And really, we're just projecting our guilt over and over and over again. So all that is happening within the illusion of time. And so as long as we think we're guilty, and as long as we think we're an ego, we're trapped in the illusion of time. And when we are practicing a miracle, we exit time, because the miracle is practicing the truth. It's using our spiritual sight to look beyond the body and see the spirit within that person, that thing, that situation, whatever. We're seeing the spirit. We're seeing beyond it. So when we're doing that and we're going directly from our spirit to someone else's spirit and we're able to see that, we've just exited time. We've exited the illusion. We've exited the 3D world, and we go straight to the truth. And in truth, there is no time. So the miracle is only here while we think that there's time. The miracle substitutes for learning. It might have taken thousands of years. Okay, yeah, so that's very practical. The very last thing that it's saying in the very last paragraph of this section, it's very practical. What it's saying is that when we practice a miracle, which is using our spiritual sight to see the truth of who and what another person is, that we have literally collapsed time in that moment. And because we think we're egos that have to keep learning lifetime after lifetime and coming back and, earning our way to God, because we believe that, sorry, I just forgot what I was about to say. Right, the collapsing of time. Right, the practicality of it. Sorry. We believe that we have to do these things within the illusory world. So when we have that moment that collapses time and we're out of time, when we're practicing that miracle, we are doing such advanced learning. Each time you're practicing a miracle, you're doing so much advanced learning that had you not done that, had you not taken that literally split second, that moment to remember the truth and practice that miracle, had you not done that, you could have spent thousands of years reincarnating again and again and again to learn that very lesson that you learned in that moment that you released and let the miracle happen. So when we're practicing those momentary miracles, we are literally collapsing thousands of years of time, because thousands of years of lessons no longer need to happen, or at least we think it needs to happen within the illusory world. We don't need to keep playing that game and being on that merry-go-round and incarnating again and again and again to try to, figure it out. When we exit that whole game and we get outside of the game, and we're now outside of time and space, and we're now directly seeing the truth of who this other person, people, situation is. We are outside of time. We've collapsed time. We have done so much healing. We no longer need to keep learning those lessons over and over again because we just did this amazing thing called a miracle. And the other benefit is that because all minds are connected, when you practice that miracle in that moment and remember, not only does it heal you, but it heals everybody because all of our minds are connected. They get the message unconsciously that they are one with everyone and everything. Okay? So that's basically what the first section is talking about, the difference between revelation and miracles. If you have any questions about this, just please let me know in the comments. It's a lot of information to cover, and I don't want these videos. I'm like squinting trying to see how long this is. Oh Lord, yeah, that took a while. So if you have any questions, you want me to explain anything further, I'm happy to answer your questions. And I hope you remember to practice lots of miracles in the meantime until the next time we meet together, because they make you feel so good.